Yeah, yeah. Yes, that is how you express in your department. I mean, if you are disappointed, you say no, no, but most of the time they're not disappointed by the debate. So you just say yeah, yeah. Mr. Prime Minister, if you're ready, the floor is yours.
Oh,
Mr. Speaker, panel of judges, a great timekeeper, with all other protocols duly and respectfully observed, I greet you all. In my capacity as the Prime Minister of this House, allow me to lead out the structures of my debate. Mr. Speaker, I will define the key terms found in the motion, set a perimeter, do a rebuttals, give my points, summarize, and then conclude. As the structures of my debate tools, I will define the key terms in the motion, and the key terms found in the above motion is allocation. Allocation, according to the Oxford Mini Dictionary, it says, allocation is the act of giving something for a particular purpose. Funds. Fund is an amount of money that is made available for something. Government agencies. These are the agencies found under the government, meaning the arms of government, and approved. This is a grant permission. National referendum. This is the act of involving citizens in a yes or no voting. My definitions are backed with references from the Oxford Dictionary. Moving on, so I said I will set a perimeter, and the perimeter of this debate is to promote sustainable development. We believe that allocation of funds to government agencies should be approved by national referendum because to promote sustainable development. That is the perimeter of this debate. Mr. Speaker, moving on to the rebuttals of this House. Three rebuttals. I know when the opposition leader come here or opposition bench, they would say it will take time for people to actually vote in a yes or no referendum voting. But Mr. Speaker, to remind the House, democracy promotes, it allows everybody to take part in decision making. So why not we let them to actually take part in decision making by rather than violating their rights and neglecting them from voting into yes or no. Moving on to my point, Mr. Speaker, the first thing why I said this House believes that allocation of funds to government agencies should be approved by national referendum. One is to avoid embezzlement of funds. Mr. Speaker, you already agree with me that the government at the top currently are embezzling all our funds that comes in, either in by aid or developmental projects. But when we actually citizens take part in all the decision making, the yes or no, if this particular amount of money should be allocated to the government agencies, that it will avoid the embezzlement of funds because a particular amount which is dedicated to them would be the only amount that is given to them and nothing more and nothing less. Anything that people, the citizens actually said yes to that particular amount will be allocated to them, and that will avoid the embezzlement of funds. Mr. Speaker, moving on to my second point, it promotes political participation. Mr. Speaker, you will agree with me. If we allow the citizens to actually select or actually take part in allocation of funds to the government agencies, it will promote political participation. Currently, political apathy is what we're experiencing in the country. If you ask why are you not voting, what do we say? The government is embezzling or no development is coming. No new empowerment is given. No jobs are being given to the qualified citizens. So now, if we actually allow the citizens to take part in the allocation of funds to the government agencies, meaning to approve it, it will promote political participation. While everybody will take part in the decision making, either by saying yes, this amount should be granted to them, or no, this amount shouldn't be granted to them. So therefore, if we allow the citizens to actually approve the allocation of funds to the government agencies, it will promote political participation. Moving on to my third point, Mr. Speaker, it promotes democracy. Mr. Speaker, you are agree with me. Democracy is a system of government by which power is in the hands of the majority and the minority has a little say. So now, if we actually allow the majority to actually allocate the particular amount they want for the government to actually carry development, are we not promoting development at large and democracy at large? Mr. Speaker, you all will agree with me with that. Moving on to my fourth point, discouragement of political apathy. If we allow all the citizens to take part in national referendum, you all will agree with it. Political apathy will be a law in this country because where everybody will take part in the voting of yes or no to the allocation of funds to these government agencies. This is because you look at the projects that are actually in the country. How old is Gambia? 60 years old, and Gambia is still underdeveloped. It is not yet even developing. But if we allow, citizens to actually take part in the allocation of funds to the government agencies, we will ensure that the embezzlement of funds will be promoted, and also development would be something that they will actually care about because they will believe that the citizens are the ones that actually give us this money or allocating this particular amount of money to promote or to carry out this development. So for that being the case, political party would say no to the country because everybody will take part in the decision making and they will know the amount of money they will actually grant to the government agencies because before they actually go on when the budget is being created. Mr. Speaker, to my fifth point, Mr. Speaker, inclusiveness. It promotes inclusiveness. In a sense, you will see a particular person, the person have motive and have the aim to be part of the government or build it.
Okay. You made mention of democracy. So I want to ask you, you did not give any specific perimeter that substances onto the AMA, the age of the people that are going to be the ones that will vote for the referendum. So I want to ask you, if you feel that there
Can you see that you're wasting my time? Moving on to my point. And I said promote inclusiveness. Mr. Super, you all people are out there who actually take part in the decision making of the country, but they are not allowed. But if we allow the citizens to take part in the national government as in the allocation of funds to government agencies, it will promote inclusiveness. Everyone will feel included in this decision making and nobody will feel like I'm not taking part because I'm being out. Yes, there is franchise in the country. There is franchise in the country where our citizens to be voted and to be voted for their office. So that is just it. And there is a particular limit, age limit. So if you reach a particular age limit, you are allowed to take part in the national referendum. Moving on, Mr. Speaker, I will summarize my point. When I came here, Mr. Speaker, I defined the key terms in the motion, which were allocation, that is the act of giving something for a particular purpose, funds, an amount of money that is made available for something. Government agencies are the arms of government, and then approve this is a grant commission. Now, so whatever, this is the act of involving citizens in the years moving forward. And then I set a perimeter, which was to promote sustainable development. I did a pre-rebuttal, which is this, it was in time, but you are doing it will not present time because when we involve everyone in the development of a nation, it is not consuming time, but instead it is promoting democracy. And I give my points, which we are to other development of one, to a mention of to promote political participation. I made mention of discouragement of political party. I made mention of promotion of democracy. And I made mention of inclusiveness, promotion of inclusion. Mr. Speaker, all in all, I have nothing to say other than thank you for your presentation.
For the wonderful deliberation.
If the opposition leader is set, then the House is ready to hear from you. Yeah, yeah.
Imagine, must I remind this house that we are not only here to debate but to fight injustice. And injustice is what I and my members will not let unchecked. In my caliber, Mr. Speaker, the House as the opposition leader, it is indeed, I will not do justice without telling you my stand in this debate. I'm here to debate against the motion this House has placed. This House believes that allocation of funds to government agencies should be approved by the national referendum. In my sincere jurisdiction as the opposition leader, this is the structure of my debate. First, I will go all the points that have been made by the Prime Minister, who said it actually makes sense. And in a serious note, he doesn't. Because this is a house of intellect and not babies. And I will use my own points. Defending as possible as I can, summarize and conclude. Mr. Speaker, first when the Prime Minister came, he said that he is going to give a perimeter, and the perimeter is based on only for sustainable development. He does not even make a correct perimeter. What is a perimeter based on only for sustainable development? And that is why we are coming with an alternative to say that it should be approved by the National Assembly members, that is the non-members. That is our alternative. And the first point we made mention is avoid embezzlement of funds. Yes, because of the avoidance of embezzlement of funds, that is why we are saying that the government allocation of funds to government agencies should not be approved by the national referendum. The last referendum election that has been held here, according to IEC's report, they spent $20 million only to conduct a single referendum election. Because of the embezzlement of funds, the waste of resources that has been made, that is why we are saying we will not allow that funds of government agencies should be approved by the national referendum. He made mention of a second point, which is political participation. Come on, the citizens are only political participation because when they have the right to choose their president, are they not part of the political participation? Of course they are part of the political participation because they know that if they want, okay. Yes, there are, in fact, it's 100% in the Gambia, 59%, 75% are taking part in they are eligible in taking part in the election of the Gambia. I answered the other question. They are already in political participation because if they have the right to choose their government, their president, they know that these agencies will not be able to work under the president. That is why we are saying that the political participation does not make sense. In fact, the Prime Minister does not even have points. He made mention of political participation, and he also came and said avoid political apathy. Do you know what political apathy simply means? These are the two things we are talking about. You said we should, this house, you said that this house makes sure that the allocation of the government agency should be approved by the national referendum so that we promote political participation and to avoid political apathy. Yes, these are the things you bring us when you actually said we were making sense and you are right to mislead us. You made mention of another one that is inclusivity. You don't even explain us how, why, when, and how does this inclusivity, how to deal with this topic. So has been done with the Prime Minister so serious, and he wasn't all his point, I will move on to my own point. First, Mr. Speaker, my first point is lead to bad decision making. Yes, that is why we are saying that the allocation of funds to government agencies should not be approved by the national referendum because it leads to bad decision making. If everybody is to be allowed to vote, and not only the non-members, most people in the Gambia, you know how they are literally voting is, they will not know why we are voting for this, how we are voting for it, because even the civic center in this country, they are not being there, they are expected of them. So, moving on to my second point is waste of resources and time consuming. The Gambia is calling a coalition. We should be thinking of bringing other developments than wasting our money on coalition referendum just for the mere sector. I mean, we want to be the big boys too. Moving on to my other point is lead to decent work for white choosing. Yes, it leads to decent work and white choosing. These now members, if they are being allowed to do the decision or to avoid this allocation of work, it will lead to white work, decent work and white choosing, because they are people that are interested in their diverse citizens that you are fighting for their right, the freedom fighter, fighting for their right to choose a referendum. They already have the intellect. That is why they have been put there as National Assembly members. So, Mr. Speaker, just to summarize my debate, first I think I put the House in order that the Prime Minister misleaded everybody, thinking he makes sense, and I redirected the House and lead everyone to the right direction. I first of all reported his which is avoid embezzlement of funds, and I gave reference to the IEC, where it, I just reference to the IEC that this because of the avoidance of embezzlement of funds, we are saying that the government agency should not be allocation of funds to government agencies should not be approved by the national referendum. And I will also talk about political participation and also say about political apathy, which is two single things he brought as one thing, thinking that he is white. And the reason he did not tell us how, why, when we got from the political participation. He made reference of inclusivity, just inclusivity, and moving on without telling us what does he mean by that. I got my own point with a need to back decision making. Yes, it is about decision making because if everyone is being included, we all know how things are. The literacy and illiteracy rate in the Gambia, the gap is so far. If everybody is being included, it leads to bad decision making. And people will try to approve more for government agencies, but they are truly the gap. And the other one is waste of resources and time consuming. The gap is area of our country. We should be moving forward like other countries, not wasting our time to approve every single fund, every single fund for government agencies through referendum. That leads to waste of resources and time consuming. And also say we need to do some work for white choosing. Yes, that is why we are saying that we should be approved by the non-members because they already have the intellect and they are already being put there by the people that he is fighting for as the freedom fighter. I conclude by saying that this House believes that allocation of funds to government agencies should not be approved by the national referendum. And thank you all.
Right now, but what do you mean by the IEC reported that they spent 25 million for no, Republic has never contributed. Yes, our details. Right. It's not yet. You can just you can cut it. Okay. Like I said.
Thank you very much, opposition leader, and I'm sure not just the panel of not just the adjudicating uh, one, two, mic test. Mic test, okay. Not just the adjudicating panel is excited by the commencement. So the House is ready to hear from the Deputy Prime Minister if he is ready. Yeah. Pabugan. Konjiro. Mr. Speaker, and all other protocols duly and respectfully observed. In my capacity as Deputy Prime Minister, I hereby give you the structure of my debate. This is how I want to debate today. First of all, I would love to strengthen that of the absolute points given by the Prime Minister. Then, debunk that of the non-absolute points given by the opposition leader. Give at most 3 points, summarize, and then conclude if time permits. First of all, I say I am going to strengthen the points of my bench. First of all, he came here and mentioned to avoid embezzlement of what? Funds. We could look at it. A clear example of it was in the year 2022, which was given by Kirfatu. It has been said 15 million was approved for the government, and they used 37 million, that which is above the fund that has been allocated for them. So therefore, they are moving above to what is being given to them, and which was set by our National Assembly. You came here and you were saying you want National Assembly to set our allocate budget for us. If you want National Assembly to allocate budget for us, why do they allow the government to go beyond 15 million? Or to use about 15 million to an extent, they have to use 37 million for what is of zero benefit. And in fact, what they use 37 million for is for campaign. How can you use people's fund, taxpayers' money, to use it for campaign? That is the point that he is trying to say, to avoid embezzlement of funds. The next thing he mentioned was to promote what? Inclusiveness. Including each and every citizen into what? Participating into politics. We promote development. This is what he is trying to say. If everyone is included in what? Participating into what? Allocation of budget. What is going to happen is everyone is going to what? We are going to make decision making. And it has been said, 2 heads are better than one. They have one head on the decision for everyone. We talk about National Assembly member. All of those there are about 54 members of them. How can all of those people make decisions for about 3 million of people in the Gambia? Just at the number. You look on the what? Promote political participation. What he is saying is very clear. If people are supposed to be given the chance, citizens of a country are supposed to are given the chance to participate into politics. What will happen is it will give them the ability to be able to participate into politics. Why? Because they are allocating budgets to the people. This is what we are talking about. If the people are allowed to allocate budgets by saying yes or no, this is the budget that we want the government to use. What happens from is it is going to promote political participation. He was saying, at this moment, people are in a state of political apathy. Most of the people you see, what will happen is, if you ask them, are you going to participate in the 2026 elections? What they will tell you, we are not going to participate. Why? We are in a state of political apathy. One reason is because government are investing in our funds. They are discouraging us from participating into politics. This is his point, and it's very clear. What he also mentioned was, it is also going to promote democracy. And it is very true. Democracy is a system of government where actually majority of the people take part in the affairs of the state, where actually they elect a member to represent them in office at their best interest. It is very true. Majority of the people are allowed to take part in politics. What will happen is it will promote development in the state. Because those people can make decisions for the people. In fact, they can make decisions for themselves, make ready for an individual to make decisions for them. Now, moving on to the development aspect. Opposition leader, you came here and mentioned 100%, 75%, and 40%. You are not even clear about the amount of people or amount of individuals that can participate in the elections. So therefore, that is very important. And in fact, you ask about how, why, and when. These are the things that they are already even necessary. Now, the question is, you mentioned what? Bad decision making. National Assembly members are there. How can we give people to allocate budget for us when they want to allocate for themselves budget creating allowance? What is creating allowance? The only other allocate for themselves creating allowance to an extent they want to have money to the National Assembly or to the country, giving them money to be able to have creating allowance. They for seconds traveling everywhere to make sure they buy things for themselves. This is not what we want.
So therefore, if this is to be given to the NAMs, what will happen is there's going to be bad decision making. At the moment, yes.
Okay. Hence, you think you know. What is the percentage of Gambians that are taking part?
The percentage is 67%. Am I right or wrong? We move on. Now, we also have the lesson of what time wasting and what wastage of natural resources. What Malik is trying to say is, even make pretty voters, the pretty voters was, they will come here and they will say it's a waste of time. My friend, as far as development is going to be promoted, there are certain waste of time in the country. That is what we want to make sure. And in fact, we also make mention of what National Assembly members. That is, they want the National Assembly members to participate, or the National Assembly members to allocate budgets for us. This is not what we want. We want people, we want citizens of our country to allocate budgets for us so that we can be able to have things that we want. Citizens know what they best want, but not their representatives in office. In fact, those people immediately they get in office, they ignore you. Try examples in the Gambia. Now, as I said, I am going towards changing, and I have given their points. I said I will give at most 3 points. First point is it will promote what? Transparency. One of the principle of rule of law is transparency. Therefore, it is, people are going to see through and people are going to understand what these people are doing. If they want to allocate budgets and they consult us, this is the budget we allocated for agriculture. This is the budget we allocated for road making. If this is things that we know, it is promoting transparency. We are understanding what the government is doing. We know what they are doing. Therefore, it is promoting what? Transparency. That is what it will lead to. That is why we believe that this will happen in this type of manner. And now the next thing is it will enhance public opinion. People's opinion at the moment have been neglected. In the Gambia at the moment, even if you say a word, then I will come and arrest you. A clear example, my Jada. This person was arrested because he said what he's mine. And in fact, a soldier was also dismissed from office because he has to talk about the sadness of the Gambia, the hardship that people are going through. This is public opinion. Why are you discouraging them from making their opinions? So therefore, if we have to give citizens the ability to be able to say yes or no regarding a budget that is supposed to be allocated, therefore, it is enhancing what? Public opinion. All in one, if these things are supposed to be in place, what will happen is, my last point, it will enhance development in a state. Sit down, please. It will enhance development in a state. This is because if you have to promote transparency in a government, people participate in politics. They select the right person to represent them in office. What will happen is, there is going to be development in a state. These are things that we want in our nations. Not to wait for the NAMs to come and make decisions for us anytime they want. And if those people are there for their interest, look at these people trying to set traveling allowance for themselves, bringing a bill that is saying presidents or retired presidents or ex-presidents must be given salaries. Does this even make sense? These are things that don't even make sense. Mr. Speaker of the House, as I give you this structure of my debate, here is the summary of my debate. First of all, I strengthen the points, that is embezzlement of funds. Why I give a clear example of the government or the National Assembly giving the government 50 million and they lose 27 million of which is above what the budget that is being allocated and nothing is been done about it. I also mentioned what inclusiveness. It will promote what inclusiveness, and I also mentioned political participation, and I also mentioned political apathy. I also mentioned national enhanced development. Then I come to the word halfwest, why it was not clear of say whether it is 100%, 75%, or 40%. These are things that he mentioned. He also talk about what bad decision making. National Assembly members are making bad decisions for us, so therefore it's of no sense. He also talk about wastage of time, which was really voted in the start. He also talk about what the National Assembly members, and I also think I give my points. Transparency. I also mentioned enhanced public opinion and enhanced development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Prime Minister. When the House is ready, when the Deputy Opposition Leader is ready, the House is ready to hear from you. Yeah. And now we close the fourth House of the debate.
Good afternoon, Mr. Honorable Speaker and the House. In my capacity as the Deputy Opposition Leader, I am here to debate against a topic which states that this House believes that allocation of funds to government agencies should be approved by national referendum. Well, Mr. Speaker, before I will delve into that, allow me to give you the structure of my debate. First, I would show you why these government members, they are not very serious. And I will move on to strengthen the points that were brought forward by the opposition leader. Then I will give you my own point, strengthening them as much as I can. Summarize in summary, Mr. Speaker, I will conclude. Now moving on with the reporters, just as I mentioned in my structure. The first speaker that came here, that is the Prime Minister, came here and blamed the government for misdeed. Why? Without knowing he himself is the government. He came here and said to avoid embezzlement of funds. Now to avoid embezzlement of funds, who is embezzling the fund? After the election, I think the fund is going to be given to the Prime Ministers and the ministers that are in this country. So they are the ones who are actually responsible for this embezzlement. So instead of going for referendum, why not you take your government members responsible for all those embezzlement they have done with our fund? Moving on with to the second point, yes.
We are responsible for the embezzlement of funds. That is why we want this.
Yes, you are responsible for the embezzlement of funds. You cannot direct that to the voters. It is the ministers that are embezzling the fund, so you have to actually take them responsible. Another point that he talked about is it will promote political participation. The reason why we are saying they are not participating in politics is because they are not voting. So to promote that is to force those people to vote again. That is actually do not make sense. Instead of that, you have to actually enlighten them why they should not vote. Instead of having to tell them again, come and vote. Why can you force people that do not actually want to vote? So that actually do not make sense. Another point that he talked about is promotion of democracy. Promotion of democracy is actually taking place because we have all of those people that are represented at our parliament. So instead of actually to give this voting right to these people to vote for referendum, why not you give it to the National Assembly members to actually make decisions on their behalf? Because that is actually why they are here. So you are telling me those people that are voted into the National Assembly, they have no job to do. If the citizens are there to actually make or vote for the decision that should be made by them, what is actually the sense of now promoting or actually voting those people into the National Assembly? That actually do not make sense. Mr. Speaker, to move on to the Deputy Prime Minister who came here and said it will promote transparency. How will this promote transparency? Because at the end of the referendum, the fund is going to be given to the ministry members. So why not you take those people responsible that are actually responsible of embezzlement on our fund? Because this is actually not going to promote transparency. The lack of transparency is happening in our ministry. That is where it is happening. So that should be corrected first instead of going for referendum. Another point that he talked about, it will invite public opinions. We do not need that. We have intellectuals in our cabinet members that are actually there for this type of decision. We have people that have no interest in public matters or interest in government. So if you give the right to those people to vote for the decision as crucial as our vote, this is actually not going to make sense because we have the national members that are there to make those decisions on their behalf. Mr. Speaker, having dealt with the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, I will now move on to strengthening the point that was brought forward by the opposition leader. She came here and did a very good job. She said it will lead to bad decision making. We all know this is very true because if you give this to these people that have no interest or no clue about what is going on in the country, actually they are going to make wrong decisions. Instead of this, we are going to give it to the national members, to actually National Assembly members to make decisions for us. Another point she talked about was it is time consuming and waste of resources. This is very true. It is time consuming. Even our mayor elections, he talked about it here, it takes 25 million to actually conduct that. Why not you waste that resource on that? Instead of wasting that resource on that, why not you take those crucial things that we have in the country instead of taking part in referendum? Another point she talked about is duplication of work, because there is an election that is already taking place that is actually what leads to the National Assembly members to the Parliament. So if you tell those people the decision that you have to make, leave that there, let us give it to your people that you are representing in the government. What sense does that make? That is actually do not make sense. And that is why we are saying it is not going to happen via referendum, but to the National Assembly members who are there to make such decisions. Mr. Speaker, to move to my own point, the first point I have for you, it is a misleading priority for the government. Yes, it is. We have so many crucial issues in this country that should be tackled first. Even our football stadium that is there is not built. All of our national home games have been taking place outside. Is that not a shame? So instead of having to spend those amount of money on referendum, why not we actually focus on other priorities that we have in this country, like education, quality healthcare, etc. and etc. Another point that I have for you, it is expensive to operate and adopt. Mr. Speaker, why is it expensive? Because instead of this, it is actually lead us to the entire country. Everyone will be involved in the referendum, whether it is a big fund or small fund. Every single fund that should be allocated to a government agency should be voted. So that is actually time consuming and it is very expensive to operate. That is why we are saying instead of that, we are going to limit it only to the National Assembly members to make such decisions. Another point that I have for you, it is the country lacks qualified personnel and mechanism to work this. This is very true. Even in our electoral system right now, we have people that are sharing competent to do the work. Every year, like 2016, we have here our election being announced, and after they have an announced again. That actually shows how incompetent those people are. So instead of having to focus on that, why not we overhaul our electoral system? We have competent people there so that they can actually take place our work. Mr. Speaker, to summarize my debate, I came here, I dealt with the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister. Then I move on to strengthen the point that were brought forward by the opposition leader. It will lead to bad decision making. It is time consuming and resources. It is a duplication of work. My own point where it is a misplaced priority, because why? We have things here that we need to develop, like our stadiums and all the stuff that are in the country. So instead of focusing on this, why not we focus on other priorities? Another point that I give you is it is expensive to operate and adopt. Why is it expensive? Because it is going to be 4 corners of this country. Every single decision is going to be made by referendum. Is that making sense? It is not. That is why we are saying the right of that is going to be given to the National Assembly members to actually make those decisions. Another point that I give you is the country has qualified personnel and mechanism to actually operate this. We have seen our electoral officers every single year. It is the graduates that are employed, that are actually counting our vote. Are those people qualified and appropriate to take this? That is why we are saying it is not going to happen that way. Instead, National Assembly members are going to be given the right and the mandate to actually make such decisions so that we can have the qualified system we have. That is it.
That was the end of the first half of the debate. Now we transition into the second half of the debate. And the speaker to lead that proceeding is not the government member. If the government member is ready to House, is ready to hear from him. Yeah.
Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House, in my capacity as the government member, allow me to lay down the structure of my debate. I will first report on the business conveyed by the so-called opposition leader and the deputy opposition leader. I will strengthen the points of my own prime minister and the deputy prime minister. I will give my points. I will take POI if any. I will summarize it in summary. I will conclude. Speaker of the House, starting with the deputy opposition leader. The deputy opposition leader came here making noise in the House that he made mention of expensive to operate and other. Speaker of the House, in which he explains that it is time consuming and expensive. Speaker of the House, we are talking about our own development, Speaker of the House. If our own development is time consuming, if the road to our own development is expensive, then what is not expensive, Speaker of the House? Did he expect us to be here, to be in this underdeveloped country without doing any effort to lead us to the development? Speaker of the House, so that point made no sense and it will not hold in this one of the House. Speaker of the House, he also made mention of the country lack qualified personnel to operate elections. Speaker of the House, I'm hereby reminding the so-called individuals sit here that referendum is a yes or no election. It doesn't require the counting of votes. It doesn't require the counting or any other thing that can lead to any convenience. So that point will know what I need to notify in this Speaker of the House, moving on to the opposition leader, she came here and made mention of lead to bad decision making. Okay, come up with it here.
What is the difference between election and referendum?
Okay, but let me teach you. Election is in election, you are given the chance to go to a place and throw your vote. And then at the end of the day, they will be count and they will give you the results. While from there, you are just asked yes or no question. If you agree, you say yes. If you don't agree, you say no. Speaker of the House, moving on to your opposition leader, she came here and made mention of lead to bad decision making, in which she explained, according to her, the illiteracy ratio is too high in the Gambia. Speaker of the House, I'm hereby reminding the so-called individuals sitting here that the people she is calling illiterate in the Gambia are the same people who went and voted for the government you are supporting today. So if it was not those illiterate, you will not have been here promoting or supporting the government. Speaker of the House, moving on to the strengthening part, my Prime Minister came here and made mention of embezzlement of funds. Speaker of the House, which is very true. Speaker of the House, let's take an example of the Gambian ministers driving luxurious car, leaving their citizens in doubt. Speaker of the House, if they were asked how much will the ministers be paid, do you think that they will be living down? No, they will not have that done. Instead, they will believe that the amount they all agree on is the same amount the ministers have been paid. Speaker of the House, moving on to the Deputy Prime Minister, he made mention of promote transparency. Speaker of the House, people are going to see, he said, people are going to see through and know what they are doing. Speaker of the House, we all know that each and every person sitting here is paying tax to the government. Speaker of the House, do you expect you paying money to the government every month and you don't know where that money is going to? But Speaker of the House, with the promotion of this Speaker of the House, it is going to lead in each and everyone to it's going to give each and every person the green light to know what you are doing and where your money is spent. Speaker of the House, moving to my own point, my first point, which is promotes human rights. Speaker of the House, according to the chapter 4 of the 1997 Constitution, it is clearly stated that no one has the right to deprive somebody of his or her property. Speaker of the House, this is clear. Speaker of the House, if each and every person in the government, in a country, is given the access to vote and to know where their money is going to, Speaker of the House, it is going to promote their human rights, Speaker of the House, because they are not going to have they're not going to doubt that they're not going to say that their rights have been abused because they are not they did not know the amount of money that is paid to the government. Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House, moving to my BBC News reported on the 9th January 2025. It was reported that in Burkina Faso, all the funds allocated to the government agency are well known to the citizens. And that is the limited to a lot of improvements, Speaker of the House. Ibrahim Tarawala is doing more than enough, Speaker of the House in Burkina Faso. So he can only the people of Burkina Faso will have only know that the amount of money that the government have been paid. If only they were put in the referendum and then they were told that this is the amount they are paid, Speaker of the House. So that is a great improvement. Speaker of the House, we all know that Burkina Faso is part of the countries in Africa which is growing rapidly day by day, Speaker. It is because their leader is showing them everything, Speaker of the House, that he is doing. Speaker of the House, moving to my other point, which is improve countries' economic. Speaker of the House, let's take a good example of Ibrahim Tarawala, the president of Burkina Faso from Asia. Speaker of the House, who is not receiving the salary of a president, but instead a soldier. Speaker of the House, this man is very humble to the extent that he is not receiving the salary of a president. Instead, he is using the salary of a soldier. And his salary is well known to his people, Speaker of the House. Do you think that if the salary, if not for this referendum, those people will have money salary? No, they wouldn't have money. They wouldn't have money salary. They will be in desert like the Gambia, like the way the Gambia is. They will be asking each other, how much is our president spending? How much is he paying a month? How much, like where is our money entering to? No, that's good. No, he gives them the green light. He showed them everything that he is doing. He makes sure that each and everything that happens in a country is well known to his citizens. He makes sure that he maintains peace and order among them, Speaker of the House. And that can only happen. And then he only attended, Speaker of the House, he only attended by giving these people the green light to show them what he exactly is doing, Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House, in summary, I have reported on the baseless point made by the so-called opposition leader and the deputy opposition leader, which were expensive to operate. The country lacks qualified personnel to operate, which I can say he clearly don't know his use. He clearly don't know the meaning of election and the difference between election and referendum. And then also the opposition leader who came here and made mention of lead to bad decision making, in which he underrated her own people that saying that those people are illiterate, and which I reminded her that those illiterate that she is underrated are the same people who vote for your government. I have strengthened the points of my own Prime Minister, which were avoid embezzlement of funds, promote transparency, and I have given you my own points, which were promote human rights, eradicate corruption, and then improve country's economic. Speaker of the House, with these 3 points of my
What an extension. Thank you very much, government member. The House is ready to hear from the opposition member if she is ready. Yeah.
Honorable Speaker, we respect the importance of referendum. Honorable Speaker, we strongly oppose this motion. Honorable Speaker and esteemed members of the House, I greet you all. Following the structure of my debate, first I would like to report the baseless and unsubstantiated points that are given here by the Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, and the government member. Straighten the points of the opposition leader, and then the Deputy Opposition Leader give out my points, accept a POI, and summarize and conclude if time permits. Honorable Speaker, first what I would like to talk about is the perimeter of the Prime Minister. Prime Minister as a government member, Prime Minister as part of the National Assembly. Prime Minister, you should be able to know your responsibility. Prime Assembly, where she talks about the National Assembly accepting the fund. Honorable Speaker, I remind you the motion of the House. The motion reads, this House believes that allocation of funds to government agencies should be approved by through national referendum, which I strongly oppose. Honorable Speaker, as I mentioned, I'm going to report the basis and unsubstantial acceptance.
What was the perimeter brought by the opposition?
The perimeter talks about National Assembly accepting the form. I think you did not hear it properly. Honorable Speaker, I move on to my debate. As I was mentioning before he interrupted me, I'm going to report the basis for and unsubstantial for given by the Prime Minister and then the Deputy Prime Minister and the government member. Here, their point is just like, I'll just out of all their points and make it democracy, because that is the only thing I'm hearing about, democracy and everything. Honorable Speaker, the Prime Minister stood here and talks about embezzlement. Honorable Speaker, how can embezzlement occur without approval? Honorable Speaker, they are supposed to be approval before embezzlement. So I strongly oppose your that point, and it doesn't stand in this House, and I kick it out. Honorable Speaker, the Deputy Prime Minister and the Prime Minister make mention of democracy. Honorable Speaker, what is the reason for representation? What is the reason why we have representation in the National Assembly? Is it not the people representing the people in the National Assembly, and that is the citizen giving out the voice of the citizen? So, Honorable Speaker, the National Assembly is a representative place where we have people making decisions. So, if we allow the National Assembly to give to accept and approve to accept the fund, then we realize that it is going to promote democracy, because there is representation in decision making, and representation is one of the basic principles of democracy. Honorable Speaker, I move on to the government member. The government member was just standing here. Honorable Speaker, I couldn't even hear her points clearly. It's like she was talking just like a robot. Honorable Speaker, I want to remind the government member that referendum is a type of election. Referendum is not simply mentioned that referendum is not a type of election. I just want to correct her that referendum is a type of election, and we strongly oppose that we are not going to allow referendum in this country when it comes to fund allocation. Honorable Speaker, I move on to strengthen the point of the opposition leader. The opposition leader stood here and talks about expensive to conduct, and I agree totally with her point. Honorable Speaker, if we say we are going to agree everybody to say yes or no to a particular decision, that is allocating fund to allocating fund to government agencies. Honorable Speaker, you realize that it is going to be expensive. Honorable Speaker, the GBOS just made mention last year that 2.6, the population of the Gambia is 2.6 million. Honorable Speaker, you are going to realize that it is going to be very expensive. Going from the urban area to the rural area, how are we going to conduct this election? So I strongly agree with the motion of the, please sit down, I already accept a POI, I'm not going to accept any other POI, please don't distract me. Honorable Speaker, I move on to another point of the Deputy Opposition Leader. The Deputy Opposition Leader stood here and talks about missing priority. Yes, if we say we are going to accept a referendum where people will accept the allocation of funds, it is going to give us missing priority. Where's our priority? Honorable Speaker, we have so many sustainable development goals in this country that we should give our priority to. And there's a missing priority if we are going to accept that the whole of the country are going to vote for government agencies to approve national referendum. Honorable Speaker, I move on to my own point as I mentioned in my district. I move on to my own point. One of my points is going to promote bureaucracy in decision making. Honorable Speaker, if we say we are going to agree that people are going to say yes or no to a particular fund that is supposed to be allocated to agencies, you realize that there is going to be bureaucracy in decision making. There is too much time that is going to be taken. How are we going all over the country to ask people to say yes or no to a particular fund that is supposed to be allocated? There is going to be too much time, so bureaucracy is involved. Honorable Speaker, another one is in a state of emergency. For instance, in a state of emergency, let's look at the health sector. If there is a pandemic or an epidemic, there's a pandemic, we are going to realize that in a state of emergency, then when we say we are going to accept a referendum from everyone, it is so lawful, then that it is going to affect everybody in the country. It is going to affect everybody in the country and their health also. You realize that when in a state of emergency, referendum cannot work in a state of emergency. Honorable Speaker, development is affect national development. When referendum cannot work in a state of democracy, then it's going to affect national development, because you realize that if there is too much time taken to conduct a referendum, then it is going to it is going to be a slow development for the nation. And another point is, it is going to cause a state of chaos. Honorable Speaker, if we are believe that money is something that is very critical, it is a critical matter. And if we say we are going to allow the people to say yes or no to a particular fund going to be allocated to government agencies, then you realize that there is going to be case and there will be a state of chaos or a state of confusion. Some of the citizens will be like, no, I'm not going to vote, or I'm not going to do my referendum, I'm not going to say any yes or no. And others will be protesting, no, the fund is too much, the allocation is too much. you realize that there's going to be a state of chaos. People are going to fight each other. People are going to, they can even lead to killing each other. Honorable Speaker, you realize that there's going to be a state of chaos. Honorable Speaker, as I mentioned in my motion, I'm going to summarize and conclude because, Honorable Speaker, when I debunked the basic and unsubstantiated point given by the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister and the government member, which I asked and make it democracy because only thing they talk about democracy and it was not stuck in this house and I took it out. Honorable Speaker, I stretching the point of the opposition leader and the deputy opposition leader, where they talk about expensive to conduct and also talk about missing parity. Honorable Speaker, I give out my own point where I talk about bureaucracy in decision making and then causes a state of chaos. Honorable Speaker, I end by saying if we delay growth and decision making, Honorable Speaker, then we delay national development. Thank you all.
So while this debate is going, can we have the attention of the university category, please? Do we have all representing school here in the house? SOSA, SSA, NSA, and the JSA. That means you're all here. Please be over there and you'll be giving your motion while this debate is going on. Though you may be a bit distracted, but we expect you to overcome that. Now, please. While that is being done, we would invite the last speaker of the government to give a summary deliberation on behalf of the government if he is ready. Yeah.
Whip, a minute, please. Give us a minute. No, it's fine. Just give us a minute.
Thank you very much. Honorable Embassy,
Just look at the house, everyone will ask I'll first of all start by refuting the bogus points put forward by the senator on the other side of the house, straighten the beautiful points by my members, introduce my one solid lovely context, summarize, and in summary, Speaker of the House, I conclude. Speaker of the House, doing my structure in the opposition member came here and he said the population of the Gambia is 2.6 million without giving us any reference and any information. Where does he get that information? Let me remind you that according to barometer report, the Gambia's population is 2.8 million people, and that is approximately 3 million as of 2024. As of 2024, the barometer report. And she went forward. Her first point was promotes biocracy in decision making. How, Speaker of the House? How will this promote biocracy in decision making? Whilst our own citizens are involved in decision making in the country, how will that cause biocracy in decision making? Speaker of the House, this clearly shows that this Salakasili over this side of the House has nothing to know about this, don't know nothing about this motion, but was just giving us false facts. She went forward. Her second point was it's going to affect national development, Speaker of the House. Government is trying to promote national development. These so-called opposition people are here affecting our national development and telling that it's going to affect national development. These are the same people who will stand in the media and say that the government is not developing the country. The government is trying to develop the country by engaging citizens in decision making, allocating funds to government agencies, involving citizens in that, and they are saying it's going to affect our national development, Speaker of the House. How? And they are the same people who are telling the government has failed this country because the government is not developing the country. So the government is bringing ways to develop the country. You are saying it's affecting our national development. She went forward by saying that it will cause chaos in the country, Speaker of the House. Common sense, chaos. Only citizens involved in decision making, only citizens involved in only a mere referendum that will cause chaos in the country. This is common sense, Speaker of the House. This clearly shows that this opposition member is just lying to this honorable House, Speaker of the House, and we don't allow those false facts in this House. It's an honorable House and it should be honored. We should only give correct information. Going to the debate opposition leader who came here and said it is a mislead priority by the government. A mislead priority by the government, something that causes development in the country is a mislead priority by the government. Oh, I'm so ashamed of you right now, Speaker of the House. He just misleading the House. He said it is expensive to operate. Let me remind you, nothing is expensive as far as development is concerned. As far as it involves development, as far as the government is doing it to develop the country, it is not expensive. It is the right of the government to spend money to see that the country is developing. So if the government is spending money to develop the country, you are saying it is expensive to develop. So what development is not expensive in the country? What will you do to develop our country? Why we don't involve money? Why we don't involve expenses, Speaker of the House? He went forward by saying the Gambia lack qualified and incompetent people, Speaker of the House. The Gambia since 1965, since 1978, Speaker of the House, Gambia is conducting elections, free and fair elections. Elections which will select leaders without chaos, without violence, and say the Gambia lack incompetent people. You don't even say inadequate, but he said lack. That means there are no incompetent people in the Gambia. Lack. This clearly shows that he knows nothing in this House. Lack of incompetent people, and you are busy voting since 1970. Gambia is voting, selecting leaders, and you are saying Gambia lack incompetent people. And this referendum is not even like going to vote, but you're only voting for yes or no. Not even voting for leaders, but only voting for yes or no. Not voting for leaders. Going to the opposition leader who came here and said it's the waste of resources. What is the difference of waste of resources and expensive to operate? So this clearly shows that they are just bringing in one point but going to different angles. So the expensive to operate and wastage of resources is not the same. Is it not the same? Because it's so expensive. So you cannot deceive us. We are mature adults. We know what you cannot fool us. You cannot bring wastage of resources and expensive to operate and you say you are deceiving us. No, it's all talking about one thing. So you cannot bring one thing and say you are going to convince us with only that thing. And she went forward by saying the IEC invested 20 million in the country's election, and her deputy came and said the IEC invested 25 million in the country's election. So which one is weak? So Speaker of the House, this clearly shows that these people are just giving us false information in this House. 20 million, 25 million. Now tell us, when someone else will tell me which one is weak, which one should we believe? Which one is the report of the IEC? So they have nothing to say. So go with my straightening. My government member came here and said it promotes human rights. Speaker of the House, this is true. And she quote in the Constitution. She quote in the Constitution that no one should be deprived from their rights, Speaker of the House, from their property. The money they are paying the government agencies, Speaker of the House, is the property of the country. It's the property of the citizens of the country. Because the citizens are paying tax. We have been paying tax since 1965 to date. We don't know where our money is going. We don't know how our government officers have been paid. How much are they paid? We don't know. So that's why it promotes that, because we should know where our properties are going. We should know where our citizens is going. Same here, sir.
Yes. How does referendum connect with election? Because according to her, it is not election.
No, you have hearing problem. She said it's election, but it's not voting for leaders. She said it's only a yes no. Let's because you can attest to me that she said it's a yes no voting, not election for leaders. Son, my government member went forward by saying eradicate corruption. Speaker of the House, this is true. It eradicates corruption in our country. If the citizens of our country know the amount of money the government members are being paid, because the government agencies are being paid to eradicate corruption, because the government of agencies will not embezzle our funds, and embezzling our funds is a form of corruption. So if the government officials know that, the citizens know how much they are paid. So, and if you are paid just 10,000 per month, and they say you building a story house, the story building, they will definitely know that you are into corruption. But if the citizens know that you are paid into this big of because it eradicate corruption, because the government will not have that mentality to embezzle our funds. She went forward by saying improve country's economy. Because this is true. If the government members are embezzling our funds, we all know the amount of aid Gambia is having. The United Nations are supporting Gambia. Day in, day out, they are sending aid to our country. So if these funds are not embezzled, they are just taking some and paying our government agencies because it improves the country's economy. That's true. My Prime Minister also said promotes political participation. This is true. Citizens will say, let me engage in politics so that let me engage in the voting and the referendum so that I will know how much government I will pay. You even encourage citizens to participate in election. The Deputy Prime Minister came in encouraged transparency, and this also is true. Transparent in the fact that we all will know that what our country is investing our money in. We know how much our government is receiving. So it will create transparency. Everything will be clear to the citizens. Going to my appointment is to promote peace and unity. It's because this is true. We all know that Gambia right now in the media, people are complaining day out, day in, that government are embezzling our funds, people are causing chaos, protesting and stuff like that. But if this is promoted because we promote peace, because people don't have to go and fight the government. People are not going to involve in chaos, fight the government and do sort of things because and this will promote peace and unity in our country. So in summary, I have successfully reported the clueless and baseless points put forward by the opposition bench. I have stating the beautiful points made by my bench members, and in summary, I have introduced my point, which was it promotes peace and unity. And Speaker of the House, I have done justice to my case. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Government Whip. The House is ready to hear from the last speaker of the debate, and the last speaker, of course, of the opposition bench, the opposition whip, to summarize the entire debate for us. Yeah.
Speaker of the House, I greet you all. Following the structure of my debate, I will first debunk the baseless points given by the government bench, strengthen the points given by the opposition bench, summarize, and in summary, I shall conclude. First, the Prime Minister came here and stood and said nothing that was substantial. We got no specific information from when he said promotes political participation. Mr. Prime Minister, I want to ask you this question. How does this promote political participation when 44% of the Gambian youth are under 14 years of age and the the age that is certain for people to vote in the country is 18 years of age, and you are telling me that these same people that are voting above 18, for people that are sitting in the parliament, are those same people that are also going to be allowed to vote for the referendum, and you are telling me this is encouraging political participation? How, Mr. Prime Minister, that does not make sense. So I think that it's better you take that point and kick it out of this house. The Deputy Prime Minister also came and stood here. He also made mention of public opinion. Mr. Deputy Prime Minister, you said public opinion and you said 67% of the people vote in the Gambia. So how can you tell me 67 people of the youths are voting when specifically 44% of the Gambian youths are under 14 years of age, and the number of age that is level for people voting in the country is 18 years of age, and you are telling me that 67%, 100 minus 44%, that is going to be like 56% of people, not excluding the people that are under 18 to 15, and you are still trying to tell me that 67 people are voting in this country. So I think that that point was baseless and it did not make sense. So I think we should try and return back to everything.
Are people not under 18 and still being registered to vote in elections?
So what I want to tell you is that in the Gambia, it's 18 years that is level for people to vote in this country when it comes to elections. So if you are trying to mislead the House, then I think you should go and read the Constitution again. You may take your say. Continuing, the government member also came here. She stood here and said that referendum is not a type of election. Let me educate you on this. Referendum is a type of election, where you know that there is also counting, and you also said that there is no counting in referendum, which is totally wrong. The number of people that used to say yes and the people that used to say no, at the end of the day, they are all counted in, and the amount of people that have the greater number of people, those are the people that are voted in. So I think that was totally baseless. You also made mention of promotion of human rights. Promotion of human rights. Okay. Let me tell you, under Section 19 of the Human Rights, it talks about freedom of expression. And people are allowed to express themselves through elections in voting for the people of the parliament. And these same parliamentarians are the ones that are representing us when it comes to decision making. So you are just trying to duplicate functions. Because if the people are voting in for the parliamentary members in order for them to take decisions for them, and at the same time you are trying to tell us to do this referendum for people to also make decisions again, which means that you are trying to duplicate functions. And that does not even hold water in this house. The opposition whip, the government whip came here and made mention of he did not even give any specific point. His only, what he said was, if there is no water, if there is no waste in development. Okay, I want to tell you this. Economics states that there is scale of preference in a state where you know that it is in underdevelopment, and there are many priorities that we have in this country, like health. We have to eradicate poverty under section 2 of the Sustainable Development Goals of this country. And you are trying to tell me that there is no waste in development when we have a scale of preference where health comes first, education comes first, and many other things come first. And you are trying to tell me that there is no waste in development. Of course, I agree, there is no waste in development, but there is a scale of preference that we need to follow orderly. Okay, going to strengthening the points of the government bench. The opposition bench came here and the opposition leader made mention of waste of resources and time consuming. Of course, it is waste of resources because we are duplicating our functions. Imagine the people are being voted for in the parliament. Those same people that have been voted in for in the parliament, those people are voted in to make decisions on the behalf of the people that voted in for them. And we are also trying to make those same people to vote again in a referendum for those same purposes. And we are going to invest another money. So that is obviously wasting of resources. And it's also time consuming. Imagine if there is a pandemic, just like my partner just made mention right now, if there is a pandemic or an outbreak of a disease and we need funds in order to buy medicines and new stuff for the country, and we are allowed to make the people wait to do the referendum and make decisions for us, that time that will be allowed that we will use to make those people do that referendum. If we use that time in buying those stuffs and making no POI allowed, I already answered one. If we allow the people to do that referendum, that will waste time and we can lose a lot of lives in that process. So I think that was totally true when she said so. The deputy opposition leader made mention of expensiveness, which I totally 100% agree with. It is very expensive because election itself is expensive. You need to pay the people that are working on the IEC and all those stuff. And if all of these things are being conducted in the process, we will lose a lot of funds which we can use in the health sector, and we can also use these same funds in the educational sector. So I think that we are just going to waste our funds in doing the same thing. The opposition member came here and gave very valid points. Her first point was state of emergency. Imagine if we are to go on a war with another country and we are in lack of materials, we need to buy new resources. And the defense minister asks for money and funds, and we are made to do referendum, and the people are going to do that referendum. That amount of time that will be wasted. We can be attacked and all of us can be killed. Our lives can be gone. So what about that? So that time consumingness and all that it can affect our state of emergency if we have emergency in the hereafter. She also made mention of bureaucracy, which I totally agree with. Imagine, we are wasting our own time in doing something that is unnecessary, something that people are already voted in to do in the parliament. We are making those same people that voted in for those people to come and vote again for the same purpose with different names. That was not even hold water in this house. She also made mention of state of chaos. Imagine if the people in imagine in the parliament, we have a bill to be passed and we need funds for that. So if the people that brought up that bill are in the minority of in a minority party, and those same people that are in the minority party are the ones that brought up this bill, and the people in the majority party are all allowed to vote in, that can be a bill that will be used for our national development, but still they will not vote in for them because they are in the minority party, and that is totally undone. So this should be eradicated, which I think that what she said about state of chaos is actually and totally true. Mr. Speaker, I came here and I did justice to rebuttal all the points of the government bench. I also strengthened all the points of the opposition bench. I will summarize and conclude by saying this. In every country that you see, there is a scale of preference, and this scale of preference, in following it, it will lead to the development of this country. And that is the same thing that we should follow and not necessarily saying anything else. Thank you.